Hi everyone. I wanted to introduce a word that is not specifically a falconry word, but it is used all the time in falconry, which is desensitization. Desensitization is used everywhere. It's used in animal training a lot, but it's also just used in everyday language about people getting used to things. And that is essentially the definition. It's getting used to things a little bit at a time. You are sensitive to things, hypersensitive even at first, and then gradually you become less and less reactive. She's still hungry. She had a full crop full of food, but she's still hungry, so every time I show her my glove, she gets a little excited. Yeah, good girl. Good girl, though. Good girl. You can quiet. Oh, goodness. So, believe it or not, even though falconry is hunting with a bird, we still have to have a hunting license as if we were hunting with a gun or bow. We are subject to the same game laws, meaning we can only take so much of a certain type of prey out of the wild. The only difference is that with a gun, you're aiming it at something. With a bird, you're kind of like, well, I hope she goes to the rabbit. We put a lot of work into making that happen. I haven't yet talked about lures or anything, but yeah, you never know with these guys. They have brains of their own. So if something happens where she catches an animal that's out of season, we have to not take that. We have to kind of count it as if a wild animal had taken that prey down, in favor of what it is legal for hunters to take in that season. All of this being said, because it's always a good idea to be aware of the hunting rules, especially if you're out on a public land, even though she's a bird, not a gun. But one of the things that I'm gonna have to do if I take her off of the private property where I usually take her is wear the same kind of stuff, including the orange color that hunters wear. I can take this off now because she's attached to the perch. So she's not used to that. I usually hunt on private property with someone and it's a very isolated area, but I got some orange clothing recently just in case. And I want to show it to her for the very first time. And we're going to use this desensitization process to get her used to this new equipment. So let me go get it. Any animal training, you have to think about what the animal is seeing and how they perceive it. Whether their eyes pick up on light or dark or color or not. Daytime animals usually can see some form of color. Nighttime animals tend to be more in a black and white gradient. They can tell this by counting the number of rods and cones in your eye. Those are the color receptors. I'm not going to go into that because that's not my specialty, but just something in my brain. So does she see this as bright orange? I don't know, but she sees it however she sees it, and she's never seen it before. Okay. So as you can see, again, she's not looking at it. Now, if I move it quickly, she'll look. But I'm never going to be, hopefully, tossing my head in the air. How does this animal perceive this? I don't know if it's the same color. However, now I have this way in front of her, so it looks super huge compared to this bird, but it's almost as big as she is. Could you imagine if somebody whose hand is as big as half of your body brought a giant orange object the size of you up to you? That would be terrifying, most likely. So we have to understand that a bird cannot just be told, this is a hat, it's not going to bother you. That's not how they work, right? That's not how they learn. So I'm going to start by just showing her the object in a safe distance. Now, if I couldn't get this close to her, I wouldn't, okay, at first. I would find that distance of where is comfortable for her. Let me see, now she's ignoring it right now. Let me see how close, slowly, I can get before she starts to just react. Not freak out, but just react. So I'm watching her head. Okay, so she's looking at it right about there. I'm gonna wait till she looks away. Okay, she kind of did. Yeah, there, she definitely did, okay? I'm gonna reward that lack of response by taking the object away that is new. You're a good girl. So she's looking at it, but she's not upset by it, okay? So I'm gonna try to get it closer and see if anything changes as far as that space bubble. She's not looking at it. Now she is. What do you think? So I'm giving her the amount of time she needs to process it. Some animals could not do this with me talking. They would need complete silence. They might even need no eye contact. Okay, now she's not looking at it again. I'm gonna take it away, which is a reward. It's I believe it's called negative reinforcement. There is no punishment with these animals. If you try to punish, and that's for a lot of predators, solitary predators, if you try to punish an animal, you're gonna make the behavior worse, because now they're gonna associate it with a negative thing. But negative reinforcement means I'm giving her a positive thing by taking something away. I'm giving her her personal space bubble back by taking this away. And this is how we can tame wild animals in zoos and stuff. Like, they get used to, they get desensitized to the proximity of people without, constantly freaking out. And sometimes they'll never get used to it. And that's not a good animal for that kind of environment. You have to listen to your animal ultimately. I have spent hours sitting in a dark room with a bird, saying nothing. No music, no phone, nothing. Okay, every falconer has at some point. At least I hope, because if not, you got to experience that, okay? I have known birds that are not to be used for this sport and need to be let go. Let go meaning back into the wild. Anyway, I'm getting off track. So, desensitizing with an orange hat, okay? Now, I'm flipping this thing around. I'm moving it everywhere. She does not care. She's not even they look mostly straightforward. She doesn't care at all, okay? So I'm gonna put it in her space again and see if I can get closer. Okay, you see this? Now, I've already had it this far from her. She hasn't shown any change in posture. Just she's looking at it. So I'm gonna actually go ahead and try to get a little closer this time. I'm gonna try to put it next to her. Good girl. Well, she will drink from this spritz bottle as a reward a little bit. It's not the same as food, but she'll at the water. So I've got this hat next to her. No reaction. Now, if I take it really quickly from her, that's going to get a reaction, because suddenly the thing is moving in a way that she's never seen before. So I'm going to remove it the same way that I put it there. And if she looks, I'm just going to let her look. If she shows any further signs of reaction, I'm just going to stop. Good girl. Good girl. Good girl. I do have one more piece of food for her. I am never going to put a YouTube video over the safety of my animal. Part of safety with falconry is making sure you have food in hand if you've got your bird out of its cage. I mean, I have a piece of food left after training, just in case something goes awry and we need to get her down or use it in a safety situation. Now, when we're done, I'm just going to give it to her anyway as a reward. But I just kind of wanted to make that clear. So I'm going to stop this today because she's been out for a while, but that's a first training session with a tolerant animal. You don't want to push them too far, or you've undone all of the desensitizing that you just did. So if you have a particularly nervous animal, you might not get past the other side of the room with a new object. Everything with a wild bird for falconry is new to them. Even being that close to people, you are way in their bubble all of a sudden. So animal training, particularly wild animal training, is extremely slow, and that is fine. This has nothing to do with trust in me. She recognizes me, but raptors do not care about you. They're not loyal to you the way a dog might be. She's associated me with food and in some regards, safety. So desensitizing has to go as slowly as the animal can handle. Yes, you are teaching them new things. Yes, you are introducing new things. But if they're gonna have a bad experience with it, you're gonna have to start from square one, or even back up further, or change something to break it down. As you can see, showing an animal a new colored hat, okay, that seems like step one, but it's not. It's the space bubble, it's the distance in the room, it's where it is in proximity to her. If I suddenly put this behind her, she would no longer be used to it, okay? She would not want it back there. That's me being aware of how the bird thinks and what she sees when she sees this, or what she perceives at least. Now, raptors look straight ahead, mostly, just as we do. Even though their eyes are partially to the side, what they're focusing on is usually straight ahead of them. But it's still a thing that if I put this on her left or right side, she perceives it a little differently. She doesn't know this is a hat. She doesn't know what this is for. She knows it's a big orange object, or whatever she sees orange as. All right? So I have to train both sides of their brain to get used to this object. So all the way around her in whatever space is comfortable, while slowly decreasing the space. Eventually, I'll try to have her touch this. Eventually, I'll put it on me and carry her around. I just wanted to introduce it today as an example of desensitization. I don't know many birds that would just let this be going on in front of them, and she's not even looking. Oh, she's looking there. She's more curious than angry about it, though. Good girl. Through hunting it, the only issue is she agrees. And this can be done with anything, okay? The orange hat is new to her. I have like an orange vest thing and stuff, but which I still haven't talked about the word Falconry word for the bird cage. She doesn't even care. She's getting impatient with me. If I toss it, she'll watch it though. Oh, I was wrong. She doesn't care at all about this. She's associated me with food, but in part. What else was I gonna say?